Well, U.S. President Donald Trump listed as passenger on late sex offender and financier Jeffrey Epstein's private jet on 8 flights. Meanwhile, the U.S. president says he needs Greenland for national protection of the U.S. days after naming an ambassador to the Arctic nation. Plus, Russia's massive overnight attack on several Ukrainian cities kills at least 3 people. Let's begin the world today. More names have been revealed in the just released Epstein files by the U.S. Department of Justice. High-profile figures such as former U.S. President Bill Clinton, musicians Michael Jackson and Mick Jagger, British politician Peter Mandelson, actor Kevin Spacey, and former British Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor have been named. The U.S. President Donald Trump was listed as a passenger on Epstein's private jet on 8 flights between 1993 and 1996. He was hardly mentioned in the previous batch of files. Many of the files contained redactions with people's faces covered or pages blacked out. U.S. media says more than 550 pages released last Friday were entirely redacted. There were also partially redacted phone messages, some of which carried messages like, "She has females for Mr. J.E. and I have a female for him." Among the documents is a 2001 email sent by A from Balmoral, which asks Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell, "Have you found me some new inappropriate friends?" The latest release also contains more images of Epstein's passport that was issued in February of 1985 and expired in 1995. The DOJ says some of the documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI before the 2020 election.
There are a lot of people that are angry about all of the pictures of other people, but I think it's terrible. Look, I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him. He's been nice to me. We've always gotten along. Respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for. So they're giving their photos of me, too. Everybody was friendly with this guy. Either friendly or not friendly, but he was around. He was all over Palm Beach and other places. The head of Harvard was his best friend, Larry Summers. And Bill Clinton was a friend of his, but everybody was. I actually threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. And as a person that was in Mar-a-Lago, I threw him out. This is Mar-a-Lago. It's the hottest place I think it's the hottest place in the world, but it's the hottest place in Florida. And everybody would come here. He'd come here. We actually threw him out. But no, I don't like the pictures of Bill Clinton being shown. I don't like the pictures of other people being shown. I think it's a terrible thing.
Meanwhile, the U.S. president is insistent on his campaign in Venezuela, saying he will keep or sell crude oil contained on tankers it seized off the coast of Venezuela, as well as the vessels themselves. He made the comment amidst Washington's continued pressure on the South American country on leader Nicolas Maduro to stand down. Trump was speaking to reporters on Monday when he announced, "We're going to keep it," referring to the oil, adding, "Maybe we will sell it, maybe we will keep it, maybe we'll use it in the strategic reserves we're keeping, the ships also." The Trump administration has accused Venezuela of using oil revenues to fund drug-related crimes, while Caracas has condemned the seizures as piracy. Staying with President Donald Trump, he's again doubled down on his latest Greenland grab, saying it was needed for national security, and we have to do it, in Trump's words. Trump was speaking to reporters at his Mar-a-Lago residence on Monday. On Sunday, he announced his new special envoy for Greenland in the person of Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, despite Denmark's angry response and intention to summon the U.S. ambassador. The Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen and Greenland's Jan Frederik Nielsen issued a joint statement saying, "We've said it before, now we say it again, national borders and the sovereignty of states are rooted in international law."
Louisiana, the Louisiana Purchase. He said, "I'm governor of Louisiana." And he said, I didn't call him, he called me. He's very proactive. He's a great guy. He's a deal guy. He's a deal maker type guy. And we need it for national protection. We need Greenland for national protection. They have a very small population. And I don't know, they say Denmark, but Denmark has spent no money. They have no military protection. If they say that Denmark was there 300 years ago or something with a boat, well, we were there with boats too, I'm sure. So we'll have to work it all out. But he felt very strongly we need it for we need Greenland for national security. Not for minerals. We have so many sites for minerals and oil and everything. We have more oil than any other country in the world. We need Greenland for national security. And if you take a look at Greenland, you look up and down the coast, you have Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need it for national security. We have to have it. And he wanted to lead the charge. So we're making him, Marco, today, a special envoy to Greenland. Greenland's a big deal.
The U.S. Embassy in Nigeria has reiterated the partial visa ban on the country, stating on its social media handles it will partially suspend visa issuance to Nigerian nationals and 18 other countries from January 1, 2026. The policy, contained in a recent presidential proclamation, introduces a partial suspension of visa issuance for several non-immigrant and immigrant categories. Under the proclamation, nationals of these countries will face restrictions on non-immigrant B1, B2 visitor visas, as well as F, M, and J student and exchange visitor visas. All immigrant visas are also covered, subject to limited exceptions. The embassy clarified that exemptions apply to immigrant visas for ethnic and religious minorities facing persecution in Iran, dual nationals applying with passports from countries not subject to the suspension, and special immigrant visa holders who are U.S. government employees under U.S. immigration law, lawful permanent residents, as well as participants in certain major international sporting events are also exempt. Crucially, the proclamation only applies to foreign nationals who are outside the United States on the effective date and do not hold a valid visa at the time. Our Washington correspondent Maria Burt caught up with international affairs analyst Sylvester Alkeria for his thoughts on the partial visa ban.
Doctor, we thank you so much for joining us. As we know, this is a very interesting time, to say the least, for Nigerians in the U.S. and Nigerians in the diaspora as well. As we know, just here recently, the president has announced, and the president's administration has announced a temporary or a partial travel ban on Nigerians. Tell us how Nigerians are responding to this. We are in a pretty busy time of year here at the end of the year, so many Nigerians are traveling all over the world during this time of year.
Thank you, first of all, and Merry Christmas. I know it's not a new thing anyway, because there are several countries that were placed on travel ban. So and this is not about Nigeria only, to say maybe he targeted Nigeria. But the thing is, there are specific countries or individuals who are seeking immigrant visa or non-immigrant visa. These are the individuals that are being targeted, or B1, B2 visas and so on. So, but that doesn't affect people who already have their permanent residence or have valid visa. So you can still travel and come back. All you need to do, keep your things together. One thing I know that people should anticipate kind of missing flights, because if you don't go early, and there will be thorough security at this time, the vetting going to be tough. And if you don't arrive early and gate is closed, you might miss your flight. So.
You mentioned people that already have their visas, they should be okay, but that brings up a great point around people who have visa applications in play. What is going to happen to those applications? I know that we are all watching to see if this is moving moment by moment. We're learning new things about how this will impact the Nigerian community, and as you mentioned, other countries as well. Tell us a little bit about what those individuals should be expecting potentially for those that have applications in place.
From what I know, the information said from January, right? So I believe I'm not a lawyer, but I think those that have already submitted their information, they're already waiting for their batch and so on. It's still in process. But from January 1, every new intake should expect denial. That's my understanding of it, because it says January 1 effective. Uh, Still, people have to, people should be worried. And at the same time, I blame our government, because some of these things were warnings given long ago to keep our security in check, put things in proper perspective, and also where America will be able to share information. Because if you look at the order, it kind of indicates problem with vetting people. So there are a lot of things that where we come from anyway. We need to start upgrading our system. We need to start taking things serious, especially when it concerns security.
You mentioned security, and we know that the United States have put Nigeria on the list of countries of particular concern, and you mentioned information sharing. Have there been Nigerians that have been consulted, that the president has talked to as it relates to how to kind of move things forward, so that we don't end up in long-term impacts? Obviously, no one wants to see this as a long-term impact for U.S.-Nigeria relations.
It's up to us. That's why our leaders need to wake up, because it's not about talking. It's not about sending everybody to come to America to negotiate, advocate, and so on. There's no point talking when we are not acting. To my understanding, in the last two decades, the U.S. government has given Nigeria about $2 billion US just on security aid. What did we do with it? None of the system is upgraded. If you look at the list, Ghana is not among the list. What's the difference between Nigeria and Ghana? Nigeria is supposed to be leading. Nigeria is supposed to be, setting the pace. And again, when you look at it, I was going through something that I found out that Nigeria is number 7 in the world of countries that send their students to America to study. Number 7. Do you know that is an opportunity? We think that oil is the only thing Nigeria exports. Sending students, because they are paying school fees. It's not free. That's another way of exporting or spending or investing in America. How about fixing our schools? How about fixing our universities? Since Nigerians love to go to school, we are book people. I remember when I was in secondary school years ago, people that taught me in chemistry, mathematics, and physics were all foreigners. How about upgrading our schools today? Why can't our leaders do that? Something they don't do with our hospitals, because it's okay for them to fly overseas, send their children overseas. I'm sorry this has affected a lot of people, a lot of innocent people. But I am happy, because I'm looking at it another direction. If we have good leaders that think we should be investing and fixing our schools, places like ABU, University of Calabar, BUK, where are they today? Obafemi Awolowo, all those prominent Ivy League schools, they are all broken. We tend to gravitate to something that is foreign, and we can't fix things for people back home. I'm happy that this is happening. If we have sense, we need to do something about our own schools.
You bring up some very interesting points. As you said, there's a large Nigerian diaspora across the world, but specifically, there's a large Nigerian community in the United States,
Yes.
and one that's very active and very large part of kind of the infrastructure, the fabric, the educational structures, the medical system. Lots of Nigerian physicians, lots of Nigerian attorneys, business. I mean, so the U.S. has benefited greatly from Nigerians. And obviously now many of them are Nigerian Americans who were born here. So tell us a little bit more about what the expectations are for Nigerians in the U.S., what the hopes are, and how they're responding to this, because to your point, they are such a large part of the American culture and community.
People are going to worry, because when things like this happen, a lot of people are going to, be afraid. I plan to travel for Christmas, my family, this and that. Yeah, but if you have your visas intact and so on, you shouldn't worry. All you need to do, plan ahead of time. If you need to change your ticket to return early, if it's possible, after Christmas, start leaving and start returning and so on. But coming back to that, that's a huge investment in the United States. Apart from India, China, South Korea, Canada, Vietnam, and Taiwan, Nigeria is number 7 of countries sending their students to America. That's a lot. That's money. And if we fix our own schools, that wouldn't be happening. Why can't we think about that? How can't we fix our hospitals? Nigerians are the best. When you come to Texas, Texas is the first largest of Nigerians, number one largest home of Nigerians. Maryland, where I live, is second largest. And nobody is feeble. These are active Nigerians doing something, studying, working very hard. But where we come from is nothing. You go to medical aspect of it. Our leaders fly overseas for medical help and so on. Each of those clinics and hospitals they go to, you will definitely find Nigerian doctors, Nigerian nurses, and so on. Can they come back home and work for their father's land? What are they asking much other than, good, better infrastructure? They're not even asking you to pay them heavier. But our leaders are happy to go overseas and even die overseas. Nigeria is one of the countries that allow their leaders to die overseas. That is national security risk, but they don't think about that. They think it's about being wealthy and so on. A whole leader dying overseas. Where I come from in Igbo land, we say, if our heads, you can't bury it in foreign land. But a whole leader will be proud to die overseas, and they'll spend a lot of money, send entourage to go and bring a dead body. Something is wrong with us. And we have the best students, best doctors, best everything lawyers in America. What is wrong with our leaders?
Well, this is something obviously that we'll be continuing to watch over the next few days. Obviously, this is not going to be a short-term piece, but we will probably, hopefully, have you back to talk with us more, as we know this is something that deeply impacts the Nigerian community in the U.S. and obviously the Nigerian community across the globe. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you.
At least 3 people have died after Russia's massive overnight attack across several cities in Ukraine. Energy infrastructure was also targeted, leaving several regions without power. Russia reportedly launched 635 drones and 38 missiles, and according to Ukraine, 621 of them were downed. President Volodymyr Zelensky said people simply want to be with their families at home and safe in the run-up to Christmas, and said the strikes sent an extremely clear signal about Russia's priorities despite ongoing peace talks. He added that Russian President Vladimir Putin still cannot accept that he must stop killing, and that means that the world is not putting enough pressure on Russia. Do you want to be under bright lights this Christmas? You can head on to Singapore's iconic Orchard Road, which has been transformed, as we see here, into a dazzling festive wonderland for its annual Christmas on a Great Street celebrations. Locals and tourists cross the busy streets beneath glowing Christmas lights as they walk through the festive markets and stop to admire decorations, toys and colorful ornaments. Visitors snapped pictures of vibrant scenery while performers entertained families along the route. The 2.5-kilometer stretch features sparkling lights in gold, rose gold and silvery white, showcasing motifs like the Merle mascot and the Tua Payoh Dragon Playground. Running until January 1st, 2026, this year's event carries a special SG60 theme, marking Singapore's 60th year of independence with local icons, extensive light displays, festive markets, and nightly snowfall shows that light up the shopping belts.
The ornaments, the colors like pop, it's so pretty. Yeah. The atmosphere around. Yeah. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell chime, jingle bell chime. What a bright time, it's the right time to rock the night away. 就是这个圣诞树，很漂亮，然后下雪的话氛围感会更好，然后拍照的话也是就是必打卡的一个景点，就很棒。这个圣诞树也很有设计感。这个好漂亮。
My producer testing her Mandarin skills there. Thanks for watching The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani.